let's learn how to stitch this beautiful frock for your princess with a complete measurement guide for the skirt. In this video, I will show you how to draft and cut the frock. In the next video, we will stitch it. Let's start with the paper pattern. As always, I start by tracing the block. If you haven't made one, you can always refer to the video how to make kids block. I will post the link in the description box. Since the top of the frock is the same, I will simply trace it till the waist and cut it and make the necessary markings. And I will be using this for the front and back. Now let's start with the frock's main skirt. It will be a gathered circular skirt. Take a paper. Now if you can see the age of the child and the next to the age are the measurements you will be using for the waist circumference. Now check which age does your child come under and remember the measurement. Here I am making a frock for 2 to 4 years, so I am going to use 6 1/4 inch. Now let me show you how to use this number. Take a measuring tape, preferably an old one, put a pin at its end and pin it at the corner of the paper and start marking 6 1/4 inch. So here we have made a nice curve and this will get attached to the bodice. Now from this point, measure the skirt length. Now the skirt length will depend on how long you want the frock to be. Then minus the waist length. Example, here I am taking 24 inch as a complete length of the frock from the shoulder. So let's check the waist length here, which is 8.5 inch. So 24 inch, that is the full length, minus 8.5 inch waist length, it will be 15.5 inch. So the skirt length is 15.5 inch. But if you've noticed the design, you will see that the net fabric is visible at the hemline. Since I want the net fabric to be visible, I will make the main skirt a little shorter. So I'm going to further minus 2 inch. That will be 13.5 inch. Now 13.5 inch plus half inch for the seam allowance. So total of 14 inch. Now mark as I did before the same way. Add half an inch up for seam allowance. So once I've marked, I will cut it. Now this draft is the main skirt, plus I'm going to use this as my lining. Now let's make the draft for the inside net skirt. The measurement for the net skirt are mentioned here. If you can see, again you can just refer with the age and the measurement. So I am marking at 8 1/4 inch. Now the skirt length is 15.5 inch. Okay, so if you've noticed, the skirt is divided into two parts, this one and this one. Now the first over here, I'm going to take this border around 5 inch. So 15.5 minus 5 inch will give us 10.5 inch. So my skirt length is 10.5 inch. and I'm going to add 1/2 inch on top and 1/2 inch on the hemline. Now cut it. And write net skirt, and we will have 2 layers of it. So main skirt, then one net skirt, again net skirt, just to give that full volume to our frock. Okay, so we have done with the skirts. Now let's go with the puff sleeves, and again I'm going to use the sleeve block. And if you haven't made one, you can check the same video of the kids block. In the ending I've shown how to make the sleeve block. So let's start. Since I'm making half sleeves, so I'm just going to trace only the half sleeves. Mark the front and back of sleeves. So divide the sleeves into 5 equal parts. And mark them as 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 and cut them. Now take a new sheet, make a straight line. And tape the first part. Measure 1 inch. Then tape the part number 2. Same way, do it for all the parts. The more volume you need, increase the number between the gaps. Now I'm going to join all the parts with a smooth line. And cut it. So all this will be gathers. So we are ready with the paper drafts. So let's see what we have right now. We have draft for the bodice front and back. We'll be cutting it along with the lining. Then we have a draft for the net skirt and we'll be cutting 2 of them. And we have a main skirt draft along with the lining. And we have a puff sleeves draft. Now let's use these drafts to cut the fabric, starting with front bodice. I'm using a beautifully embossed textured fabric here. Start with folding the fabric. Once folded, place the front pattern on the folded side. Add 1/2 inch seam allowance at the hem. And for the side, I'm adding around 1.5 inch seam allowance. You can take 1 inch also. I've taken a bit extra. This age children, they usually grow quickly, so just to make sure that they wear it for a couple of times, I'm taking extra. You can just simply add 1/2 or 1 inch also. And then 1/2 inch seam allowance at the shoulder, 1/2 inch seam allowance at the armhole. Let's cut it. Here is the front bodice. Now let's cut the back bodice. Again, fold the fabric and at the folded side, leave 1/2 inch and make a line. Then keep the front pattern on it. Okay, now it's exactly at the same. This area, that's where we'll be attaching the zip. Let's cut it. And cut on the folded side. Give the necessary notches for making the neckline. Now use the main front and back pattern to cut the lining. Let's start with this circular skirt. I want to show you how I'm folding the fabric. If you have wide width fabric, you can fold it like this. Fold it once, then fold it again. If your fabric width is less, you need to take one more layer. Fold the fabric this way. You need to join it at the sides. I'm using a stiff satin here and have enough width for the circular skirt. I will fold it first, then fold it again. Place the skirt draft on the fabric and leave about 1/2 inch from one side as I will be attaching zip. Since we have added seam allowance in the draft itself, I will cut it exactly the same. Now here we have a beautiful circular skirt. Now I'm cutting the lining the same way. Since the lining fabric width is not enough, I'm going to place 2 layers and do it. Since the width of the fabric is not enough, I will be stitching at its sides. Next, let's cut the net circular skirt. Now fold it the same way as we did the main skirt. and we will be cutting 2 net skirts over here. Now I want you to measure the base of the net skirt. It's 30". Now let's do a bit of math here. Use the hemline measurement, and that is 30". I will multiply it with 4, so it becomes 120". Now 120, I will multiply it with 3. And if you want to have more volume, you can increase this number. You can go with 4, 5, 6, whichever. Now I'm going to multiply it with 3, and 3 is 360". The next thing I want you to remember is the net skirt length. Remember, our total length was 15.5 and we took 10.5 for the net skirt, so 5 inches remaining. I'm going to double it because I want 2 net layers in my one net skirt, 2 layers, just to give more nice volume. 5 plus 5 is 10". Add ½ inch as the seam allowance. I'm going to cut a net fabric that is length is 360" and the width is 10.5". Fold it from one side so that you get 2 layers at the same time. If you don't have enough length, you can always join them. So cut at the fold once you have done with the 360" length. So I have 2 layers here. This one layer I will fold and use it for my one net skirt, and the other the same way for the second net skirt. Now let's cut the sleeves. Fold the fabric 2 times so that you have 4 layers of fabric. On the folded side, place the puff sleeve draft. Add 1 inch seam allowance on the hem. ½ inch at the side and ½ inch on the top of the sleeve. Cut it. Make the notches at the center of the sleeve. Here are 2 sleeves. So by the end of the video, you will have 1 piece of front bodice, 2 pieces of back bodice and their linings, 2 puff sleeves, 1 circular mini skirt, 2 net skirts and its extensions, and the lining of the skirt. That's it for me today. In the next video, we will stitch this frock. Meanwhile, keep all the patterns, cut fabrics ready. And any doubts, do let me know through comments, message or email. If you like our video, do consider giving us a like. If you're new, do subscribe our channel and share among your friends. Till the next video, bye.